We're
All
live.
right. Hello, hello. Oh, this is Lilo. I don't know if you've met him yet.
I have
Teer.
not. I have not, and I don't
He,
believe our viewers have. Or sorry, viewer singular.
oh
Uh,
yeah, three. I say three.
okay, we're up to three. We're good now.
Okay. All right. Well, this is Lilo.
Wherever two or three are gathered,
He's in need of an exorcism. I don't know if you do those or whether I need to get a priest.
I can do
Um,
that. That's what I mean. It's basically if you go to a blessing of the pets, that's really what it is. It's an
yeah. So
exorcism.
here's the problem with the blessing of the pets.
Okay.
He needs a private blessing
Hmm.
because he will attack the other pets when
Yeah.
he comes to the blessing of the pets. So I don't know if I've never taken him to a blessing of the pets for fear that I will be sued by
Well, if
somebody.
I was your pastor, I would make a private house call just to come and bless your pet.
And he
But
would
I'm
probably
not.
bite you. He would
But I'm
probably
not.
bite.
So I
Oh, so
mean,
you're
maybe ask your
blaming
pastor.
Sarah. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
blaming Sarah as usual. So
Hmm.
alrighty. Well, we'll see if the dog behaves. So I figured we've just had Easter.
Yeah.
I thought you probably haven't talked about the resurrection enough of
I
late.
have not. No, I mean, I got stuff on the cutting room floor from the sermon. I'm pointing to my floors if that matters. Um, there's always something more to say, especially right now with the way that uh, Easter is being co-opted as
A
as
genocide?
justification for a war, for genocide. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's what would Jesus do, right? I mean,
I'm guessing that's not the meaning of the resurrection. Am I
uh,
right about that?
it's not. G, he is risen should not be painted onto the side of bombs or F-35s or whatever other kind of um, weaponry is used to murder, to kill people.
Okay. So
So let's get
the first question is is he really risen? Has he really risen?
he has.
Oh,
Next
someone's
question.
at my door. How do we know that he's I mean
Oh,
so first of all we
yeah.
can't know because it happened a long time ago and that's not
Yes.
really the point. Knowledge is not the point of faith, so we can't really know that, right? Um and frankly, I'm at the point in my faith where it's really not important to me to know. It's a matter of faith, right?
Yeah, well, and I mean, like I tell folks, whether you're when you're reciting the Apostles' Creed, right, and we talk about Jesus dying, descending into hell, resurrection, all that stuff, like the the church believes, I believe, that Christ is resurrected, that it happened, and your unbelief, disbelief, belief in it doesn't make it any truer or any less true. That it's an event that happened. It's Fleming Rutledge would call it God's decisive act in history for the cosmos. That it did happen, and it happened for people who believe in it, who believe it happened. It's theirs just as much as the resurrection is just as much for those who don't believe it. Don't believe it happened.
Okay, let's come back to that. But first of all,
Yeah.
so what would you say though to someone who is in your church,
Mhm.
trying to be a Christian? That's what I say. I'm trying to be a Christian. And but you're just like, I don't know. It just sounds like really implausible. What do you say to that person? I'm asking for a friend.
Oh yeah, like yeah. Asking for,
Asking
it's
for a friend,
not my question. This
not
is just
my
I have
question.
a friend. Yeah, I mean, what I said in my sermon, this one of the things I said in my sermon this past Sunday was that if the resurrection of Jesus Christ did not happen, we would not have heard about it. He would have just been another Jew that was crucified by the Roman Empire. He would have been another body that was buried and forgotten, lost to time. If he doesn't, if the tomb is not empty on Easter, if he does not make all of the appearances to the disciples in the time between Easter and his ascension, and if he doesn't continue to make um, appearances and meet with people today. Yeah, I don't know how else to help people understand. I mean, at least that's where I would start. If it didn't happen, we wouldn't be talking about it. He'd just be another failed revolutionary.
Yeah, that's true because now there have been other obviously prophets and founders of religions that have lasted and
Mhm.
um, you know, but most of like for instance cult leaders who they don't claim to rise from the dead and their believers don't continue thousands of years later to say
Mhm.
that they have risen from the dead. Is that right? Are there other
Yeah.
religions that claim their founder rose from the dead?
I mean, the dance branch Davidians, like those are probably the most recent to mind in the West, at least in the United States.
Oh, they said David Koresh
I
rose from the
believe.
dead?
Well, no, he was claiming that. I mean, that's what was going to happen.
Oh,
It's
are we still
my
waiting?
understanding.
Are we still waiting for that or
No, I think. Let me hang on. Branch
or
Davidians.
did they all die? They all died in that fire
It
though.
did after, yeah, over 80 people died. Um, yeah, he was one that was supposed. He was supposed to be the final prophet. In that imminent collapse, Armageddon was going to happen, and we haven't heard from them since. All these I call it like a failed movement, failed cults. We don't hear from them later on. And I'm not a historian, so I can't look. I mean, I can't name one beyond like what I've seen on Netflix, or whatever that special was on. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I got
Okay.
there.
Well, that's fine. So we'll move on from that. Uh, personally, it's the whole thing is pretty crazy, and I do struggle to believe. But at the end of the day, I choose to believe, and I choose to keep being a Christian of sorts. And to me, that's how it works out for me. So
Too many people in my life whom I trust dearly have had encounters with our risen Lord. Um, and I trust them too much to believe that they're lying for the sake of a sermon that they wrote in the 1980s that, you know, didn't matter when, it doesn't add or take away from the sermon. Um, they had nothing to
yeah.
gain by lying about
See, I think all my loved ones are liars. So that's a joke.
don't believe anything
Sort
you
of.
see on the internet today,
Sort
right?
of.
Like
All
that's
right.
well, and we have been trained into skepticism and cynicism by the algorithm and just by the way the world operates. And I'm not talking about this like current moment in time. I think this is a byproduct or the product of all that cynicism and all of that doubt. And yeah.
So this is an easier question.
Okay.
What does it mean then? For first of all, what does it mean if you do
Oh gosh.
believe? And then
Yeah.
what does it mean just generally? Do you think?
I'm looking for some notes. Hang on. Fill the time, Holly.
Okay.
So, like, what do you mean from like? Are you talking about atonement? Are we talking like what are we talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Because it
What
means
does it mean? What does
it
it
means
mean? What is the significance other than it's pretty unusual
yeah.
that someone would rise from the dead and go back up to heaven.
Mhm.
So what do we make of that?
So a lot of times the resurrection is kind of it's put into the category of now because Jesus has risen, we are now promised life after death. Right? That's kind of the and if you believe in this, then you get that.
And if you
D-
don't, then you get bad things.
You get bad things.
Bad things.
Um, but it's also it's not just life after death. It is the resurrection is about the newness of creation that breaks in at the moment of Christ's resurrection, and then the new creation that's constantly happening as God's kingdom and the writing of all of the cosmos is inching further and further, or closer and closer. Right, further makes it sound like it's going farther, like distant from us as the kingdom of God is coming closer and closer. This is not God's escape plan, right? We're not going to beam up to somewhere magical And I don't mean that in a flippant way, but this isn't about God removing us from creation to go somewhere else. This is a divine invasion throughout all of the cosmos.
Mm, mm. You know, I believe I believe as a historian, I
Okay.
believe very much in the idea of kingdom come, because if you have to take the
Hmm.
long view of things. If you the lately it doesn't seem like the kingdom's coming, to be frank. Um
Uh-huh.
it seems like it seems like the kingdom is retreating. It's like going back, right?
Mhm.
Everything's good. But if you take the long view, the very long view, I mean, I think it's pretty indisputable that love is overcoming
Mhm.
fear,
And
and
that's all of it,
life is overcoming death.
right? God takes on the ultimate separator, right? Death is like the final separator of all of us. Like we separate ourselves into categories already. We separate people and apart from us into categories, um, in and outside of religious institutions. But death is the ultimate thing that separates us, both from the people we love and the people we don't love. Right? There are people that um, die and their deaths are cheered, whereas
Really? Who, like, I wonder who that could be. Huh.
and
It
it
could
goes.
be someone right now that
It's
we
going to
don't
go
need.
both ways too, and that's where like I would caution all of us, because eventually, you know, we're very critical, and we should be of other Christians celebrating the death of other people, because we know that death is not what God has designed for us. Death is not the end. It's a consequence of sin running rampant in the world. Francis Spufford would call it would be the consequence of our propensity to fuck things up. Francis
Did
Spufford,
you use that
Unapologetic.
word?
Yes. Oh, it's a great. If you haven't read Unapologetic, you would love it, Holly.
Wow,
I'll
he
sit.
uses the F word.
Mhm.
I think he might be going to hell. I don't know.
I got Shirley Beck to say that line one time. It was amazing.
No, really?
Mhm. Oh,
Shirley?
she loves that book. You should talk to her
Oh,
about it.
okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
but so it's not just that. It's God has acted on your behalf, on behalf of all of creation, um, and which means you don't have to be in control. The old life, the old way of doing things, where we're always doing harm to one another, doing harm to ourselves, that doesn't have to be ultimate. And then the powers of the world. I think this is where we can find good news right now. Is that the most powerful empire at the time in the world killed Christ, nailed him to. Who's responsible for putting them up there? That's a debate for another day. We don't have time and
I think
to
the Romans. I think it's pretty
Mhm.
clear, actually.
Yeah, nailed up there. Most powerful empire in the world murders him, kills him. And through the resurrection, we see that the powers of this world who try to hold on to power through modes of violence do not get the final word. And I think that's a very good news for us in this moment that we're in now. But it's also, if we look back on like history in general, and if we look at history going forward, it's also good news because the powers then and the powers that will be or that will try to be don't get the last laugh.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is good news for today in particular.
Hmm.
So as we wait to see what our little emperor is going to do
Hmm.
in the world. So what so I tend to think more, when I grew up as an evangelical, the resurrection, it was all very personal and geared towards like personal salvation. But
Yes.
now I understand it more sort of cosmically
Hmm.
and universally and even historically, as you've
Yeah.
described. But what does it mean for, according to your understanding, what does it mean for us personally? Like, am I gonna live forever? Honestly, to be honest, I'm happy to leave the physical body. It's not. It's kind of.
Yeah.
I'm kind of done with it. Like, it's wearing out at this point, and I realize that the resurrected self but I'm kind of done with it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So
It
I don't. He can have God can have it back. You know what? So like it's
like your
my
physical,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And also I want to be cremated so I can be scattered in Africa. Have you heard about
Okay.
my death plans? I have very clear death plans. And so I want to be cremated, and so that could complicate things, I guess. I don't know. Like what in the world does this mean for our physical death?
For our physical death.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Should I get cremated or not? I mean, some people
I
are cremated against their will, obviously.
Mhm. And I mean, w- cremated intentionally, cremated through just the natural biology of time.
Yeah, that's true. It's all
Right, eventually we all no matter how, I'm not out my window,
you have the cemetery.
I have a cemetery right there, and no matter the lead lining, no matter all the precautions we take, eventually you go back to being dust. We
Unless you're
can
Lenin.
slow it down as much as possible.
I saw Lenin before they closed the tomb when it was the Soviet Union. When I was 16, I saw Lenin.
Oh, I thought you were talking about linen,
No, no,
like
no,
cloths.
no.
Not a person. Not a
Vladimir
person. I
Lenin.
thought you were talking about fabrics. Sorry, I was like, well, okay. I mean,
He was not. I don't even think he was wearing. I don't think Lenin was wearing linen. I think he was
yeah.
wearing wool. He had on an outfit. I don't remember his outfit, but I saw him in the flesh, the dead flesh, but nonetheless.
Well, I don't want to be dismissive about. I don't know what happens with our earthly bodies. We do. The church collectively, orthodoxy within the church, does believe in a bodily resurrection of all bodies. How does God do that? I don't know. I'm not God, and thank God that I'm not God. But meaning that in all of the ailments that you had in your earthly life, this are made whole. You are made whole in who you are. What does that actually look like? What does that mean? I don't. But what I do have is the testimony and the witness in the Gospels of Jesus's appearance afterwards. And the reason we know it's not just a spiritual, um, Casper version of Jesus hanging around for 40 days is because he does physical things. He eats a meal with his friends on the beach. It's not just this quaint view of Jesus having a seaside barbecue with his friends and hanging out with them. No, it tells us some realities about the resurrection, about the bodily resurrection, that it is a um, um, physical thing that happens to us. It's not just spiritual.
Hmm. I don't know about that, but I'll let it go. Just
I
kidding.
mean, wait. Here's the thing: when people say stuff like that, it's like, okay. And guess what? The resurrection and the promise of eternal life and the newness of all of creation is still yours. And I think that's where I find hope in all this, is that Christ came for those uh, who would follow him the best. And they end up leaving him behind, and he still comes back to them afterwards. And so for those of us who are trying to figure this out, whether we're doing it by ourselves, hopefully we have a village or a community of people around us doing it too. That Christ is just as much ours, and in our doubts, and that's okay. Um,
Yeah.
Fleming Rutledge, I'm going to drop her name one more time and then I won't do it again. She has a great book. The 20th anniversary of this book was a couple years ago. It's called "Help My Unbelief," and she walks through kind of all these the different doubts that people have step by step, and she does it in a way that's approachable, but then also in a way that does not shy away from things like bodily resurrection and Orthodox Christian teaching.
Yeah.
Orthodox doesn't have to be bad, by the way. I just want to say that too.
Okay.
Maybe Substack will grab that and turn that into like one of like the videos. Like
Orthodox.
doesn't have to be bad. If we say it enough times.
My thing is, I just I'd like to make room for mystery and uncertainty because the truth is, I mean, okay, so I just wrote a piece about this. I've been watching the Artemis mission, which is I've just become enthralled by it. Or, and or
Let's come
anytime
back to why you're enthralled with it.
Well, I wrote a whole piece about it, so you can read
Wait,
it yourself
where can people find that?
on Substack, on
Oh
this
wow,
platform right here. I just
on this
published
very
it
platform.
a
Okay,
couple hours ago, so if you haven't read it, it's not a big deal.
I haven't
Anyway,
read it yet.
of course you have. That's fine. It's not a big deal.
I'm going to
So,
read it right now while you're talking about it.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I did try to go get all the good videos and pictures, and put them in there. So if you haven't been watching the mission and you want to see some cool stuff, then I did put that in there. So anyway, but anytime I look at space, like the Hubble images or whatever, the thing that I come away with is like, what the hell is going on? Like, we just have no idea. Like, how can we even fathom what is going on? Like different people have their different faiths, but I just got to think that a lot of it is, I feel like our different faiths are, representations, are representations in a way that we can maybe understand. That
Mhm.
something bigger, that it's some higher reality that we cannot grasp. And so I that's kind of basically, I don't really sit around. I'm asking you these questions because we have to
Mhm.
find something to talk about, and because people are
Yeah.
interested. Some people are more into, but I actually don't sit around contemplating and trying to figure these questions out, because I just think it's a mystery.
One of my favorite parts of the United Methodist Communion liturgy is our declaration of the mystery of faith. That Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. Um, and that's all we declare. We don't get into the mechanics of it because that's not for me or
Right.
you or that's
What
not for us.
precisely that means and works out,
Yeah.
and like, yeah,
And so when people get into that and they, claim ownership or knowledge of those specifics, I I always balk a little bit in my I'm become extremely skeptical, BS meters going off all over the place. Just because like I don't know where they're coming up with this stuff. Maybe it's through divine revelation. Maybe it's through Jesus coming and telling them that.
you could have a divine revelation and come up with something and start your own cult.
I I I don't want to be a cult leader. I don't have the patience to be a cult leader.
You
I
have the beard, though.
I have the beard. I am a white male, so I've
Yeah,
already checked two
you've
boxes.
got some things going for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm charismatic enough. I just don't have patience for people sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, see,
Um,
that's the great thing about being a cult leader is you don't have to, you just rule over them.
oh yeah.
Yeah. See, you don't have to deal with them. If you just rule over them and they do what you say. See?
Well, I hope that doesn't. I hope I don't turn into a cult leader.
I think you're probably okay. But anyway, yeah, no, I don't worry
Okay,
about
cool.
the
Moving
yeah.
on.
Moving on. We'll not dwell on you as a cult leader. Yeah, I just think, sometimes I think, why are people sitting around trying to figure out things that are unknowable when there's so much you can do that is right in front of your face
Mhm.
in terms of working out your faith, you know?
Well, and the vastness of the universe is so big, right? Like we're just seeing the backside of the moon
Yeah.
for the first time in a generation, right? And and so I say that to say that like we have to know that the universe that God created, if that's if that's where you're putting if that's the basket you're putting all your eggs in, it's bigger than what we could ever know,
Exactly.
which is
Exactly.
amazing. That's why I love what I do so much as a pastor. Is because I'm getting to tiptoe into the mystery of God every day, and like my church pays me to read books about it and write essays about it and preach sermons and have these conversations. And I get to, just kind of bask in the vastness of God. That sounds like really romanticized, but that's what I get to do.
Yeah.
And I get to talk to people about it. And it's an amazing, amazing thing. And
Yeah.
I wish all people
Pastor.
would be able to be, I wish more people of faith would be comfortable asking the questions you're asking, Holly.
Well, I wasn't, I didn't grow up being really allowed to ask questions like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some traditions where that's how you get kicked out.
Yeah. I always tell kids when they go through confirmation that when we get to the end of this, I promise I'm not going to, all of your answers, we ask them, what are your questions at the very beginning? That's like one of the first things you do. At least it's one of the first things I do. And I then tell them, is like, I'm not going to be able to answer all these. Um, Not because I'm a moron or I'm an idiot. That still could be true. But it's that some of these questions, most of the questions we have about God are they can be answered at a kind of a micro level. We can address very certain things, but then when you pull out to the wide view, it,
Yeah.
it
It's mind-blowing. Or
explodes.
so and anyway, again, space is mind-blowing to me,
Mhm.
and just thinking about, like, what's okay, the universe is so vast. Is there an end to the universe? And then what is that? And then that's eternal. And
Is it like a brick
basically,
wall?
yeah, the Big Bang, like, or the beginning of all this. When was the beginning? But then what was before the beginning?
And are there bangs still happening?
Yeah, I don't know. What is going on? What is going on?
So,
It just
Holly, if you would you go to outer space? Would you go to space if you could?
no.
No. What?
I mean, I don't know.
Artemis 35. You're not on Artemis
I mean,
35?
I'm clearly not going to space. I mean, I'm not on a path to go to space, let's just
Okay.
say.
Well, if
I
anybody's
chose a
watching
different
this,
path.
your network's pretty wide. You might have enough connections to get yourself there.
I seriously doubt that.
You could be a
I
missionary to the moon.
don't even
You,
joke about that, Tier. Don't even joke because they're gonna they find
uh,
anything they find anything resembling any kind of life form and they're going. Even if not,
mhm.
maybe they're going to the microbes. I don't know. There's not even the dust. Maybe there's people like something that needs saving on the moon. Don't even joke about this because it will happen.
I
So
mean, there's now missionary uh, work being done in like the meta, like kind of these like virtual worlds online now too.
oh yeah. Yeah.
That's your next book.
It's no, no, I think not.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, I don't know. Would you go? Did you go into space?
Depends
It's
on.
dangerous. I think it's
It's
dangerous.
dangerous. I mean, everything's dangerous.
Everything's dangerous. Um,
Probably. Like if someone's gonna foot the bill for me to go, I think I'd go.
yeah, yeah. I guess I would, especially now that my kids are mostly grown. But yeah, I don't know. It's
It could be fun.
scary. Yeah, it was anyway, it's pretty
I went to
mind-blowing.
space and all I got was a stupid T-shirt, right? Like that. Wouldn't that be funny? It could be a whole bit for this thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, cool. Well, I think that's all my questions that are answerable for you. Most of my questions I don't really expect you or anyone else to answer.
Yeah,
But yeah, the resurrection. Did you have a good Easter?
I did. It was lovely. Um,
Well,
in my sermon, in the writing of my sermon, I discovered a new author that I wish I had discovered years ago. Joan Didion.
oh,
Uh,
you didn't know Joan Didion?
no clue.
Really?
No idea. I wasn't like an English
Slouching
nerd.
towards Bethlehem.
Oh, I read her book, A Year of Magical Thinking, which is like a really tragic story, but
Yeah.
it's a great book. And so I was able to think that was like, I mean, preaching Easter is always a grand time, but coming out of it, I found a new author that I get to go down the rabbit hole with
Okay,
of.
here's another question for you
Okay.
just about Easter or about anything. And that
Mhm.
is um every year it's the same story every year.
Same old song. Yeah.
Yeah, same old song. Do you get how do you prevent because for me it's a struggle just how to get kind of psyched up for it's Christmas again, it's Easter
Mhm.
again, like,
Yeah.
it's kind of same old, same old.
A couple months out, I'll start planning like the service and all the stuff that has to happen. And in planning all of that, like doing all the logistical stuff early, it allows me to have the space the week of to enjoy the week. to be fully present in Holy Week and not have to worry about, did we order the donuts? Did we order the flour? Like all that stuff. Um, so then I can be present in like the sermon writing and leading worship and prayers and all that stuff.
And every year you have to come up with something different?
Everything's a new sermon every year.
Really? You don't ever, like, go back 10 years, 5
I've only
years
been doing
ago?
this
Who would
8.5
remember?
years.
Who would remember? Go back to
Well,
your
that's the
first
thing. Like, if I don't want my sermons to be, I don't want people to remember my sermons. I want them to remember the promise of that Christ is resurrected, and because Christ was resurrected, the same promise of eternal life in and with Christ is promised to you as well. So if I
Yeah.
do it, I mean, yeah, you could reuse sermons. Um, I'm sure there'll come. I mean, it always comes a time where, like, I'm like, okay, the parable of the Good Samaritan. I've preached on this. I've preached on it like 3 or 4 times now. So you go back and see what you've said, and there's good parts. I'll pull that out and save it. But
Yeah.
like last year, so this year I like riffed on Joan Didion mourning her husband and being sad and grief and all that stuff. Last year, my sermon, and I was talking about ketchup, the perfect tuna fish salad recipe, and Matthew McConaughey and Burt Kreischer. So I mean, like, there's always different angles. There's
There's
always new
always
ways.
there's always new stuff. There's always new stuff in the world.
So long as the main thing stays the main thing, which
Right.
is
I
not
was gonna
me.
say the Bible hasn't changed really, in a
Mhm.
long time, so,
And they're all not going to
um
be they're all not going to be winners. That's why I get to do it again the next week. And you know this because you've sat through some of mine that I
oh,
know
they're
we're not winners.
they're all winners, Teer. You're a winner, Teer. Did you hear, by the way, speaking of resurrection, did you hear what we celebrated down the street at Mount Olivet on Easter?
I'm
We
hoping Easter, but hey, y'all are
No,
crazy
we
down
actually
there.
worshiped Satan on Easter. That's what we did.
Okay,
No, we opened the church. The damaged side of the church is done, Teer,
it's
and
only took 3.5 years.
we all walked through the stone was rolled away, and we walked through the new part of the restored part of the building that was damaged in the fire 3 years ago.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
did know that. I knew about it before
you're
everybody else did.
and yeah, of course you did. Yeah, and you're probably coming to we're having a couple parties, to
I haven't
celebrate.
received my invitation.
Oh, you will, you will.
I
So that's very exciting for us, and that
But
happened to have
notice
been
what you said. You didn't say it was resurrected, which is good.
it was restored.
Restored, not
Yeah.
resurrected. Good job.
Christ's resurrection, restores things and makes all things new. Is that right? That's
Close enough.
theologically correct. No.
Close enough.
No, it's heresy, isn't it? Yeah. I get it. I get it. It's fine. It wouldn't be the first time I've been a
I'll
heretic,
send.
so.
Well, we know where to send the mob.
Yeah, if you need a witch for your witch trial, just come let me know. I'll show up. So, it's fine. All right, Teer, thank you. Thank you, by the way, and all pastors for your work, and especially on Easter. Those of us who pay any attention at all know that it is a lot of work, but also you have to you have to you have to mean it. You have to find a way to make it new for yourself so that it's new for others. And so, yeah, appreciate that
I appreciate
about
it.
you guys.
The 3-hour Easter nap helps with the recovery.
Good. Well deserved. Well deserved. All
All
right.
right.
I'll see you
Wait,
next
wait.
time.
Before we go,
Oh,
what are we talking about next time?
I don't know. I'll
Okay,
think of something. There'll be
think of something
well,
good.
I wanted to come back to the not capitalism per se, but the issue of, you know, real world responsibilities in the real world and spiritual responsibilities. And like, for instance,
Yes.
war and pacifism and being a citizen in a country
Hmm.
that, you know, working for the CIA,
Hmm.
say, asking for a friend. Like,
It's
maybe
very, yeah. I mean, and just kind of like a preview of what I would have to say. It's very easy for a pastor or theologian to get up and say that all Christians should be pacifists. But try doing that living in the DC area where everybody works either in the defense industry or at the Pentagon or in a town with a military base, and or a church that has veterans in it, and let me know
Or
how
just
that.
living in the world where there's people like Adolf Hitler,
Yep.
say,
Hmm.
or just other
Yeah.
evil. Anyway, so
That's next
let's
time.
just talk. We can talk about pacifism specifically. That's a good example of what I'm
Okay.
talking about. So
Okay.
you can think about that.
All right.
The
I'll read up on my Hauerwas.
Okay, I have no idea who that is. We'll
Well,
find
you'll meet
out.
him next week.
Okay,
Stay tuned.
bye.
Bye.